The Galactic Council chamber was a place of absolute silence and floating lights. It was located far away from Earth, in a part of space where the stars were ancient and cold. The council members were not human. They were tall, thin beings with skin like silver paper and large, dark eyes. They called themselves the Preservers. They believed they were the most intelligent beings in the universe. They had watched over the galaxy for thousands of years, bringing peace and order. They did not like war. They did not like violence. And they did not like humanity. High Counselor Vex sat on his floating chair. He looked at the large holographic map in the center of the room. It showed a blue and white planet. It was Earth. Vex sighed, a sound like wind blowing through a tunnel. He turned to his advisor, a creature named Lyra. "They are too dangerous," Vex said. His voice was calm, but there was fear in his eyes. "They fight with each other constantly. They kill their own kind over imaginary lines on the ground. They destroy their own forests and poison their own water. Now, they are starting to explore space. We cannot let a virus spread into the healthy body of the galaxy." Lyra nodded. She tapped a screen, and images of human wars appeared. Tanks, soldiers, and explosions filled the air. "They are primitive, Counselor. But they are clever. They have learned to travel between stars using crude engines. If we wait, they will become strong. It is better to stop them now, while they are still weak." "What do you suggest?" Vex asked. "Should we destroy them? The Council does not kill entire species." "No," Lyra said. "We do not need to kill. We only need to stop them. We will go to their system. We will block their sun. We will tell them to give up their weapons and their ships. Without the ability to fight, they will be harmless. They will be like children." Vex thought about this. It seemed like a good plan. It was peaceful. It was merciful. "Yes," he said finally. "Send the fleet. Tell them to disable the human technology. Do this gently. We are the parents, and they are the disobedient children." The council voted. Every member raised a hand. The order was given. A massive fleet of silver ships, smooth and perfect, turned their engines toward the Milky Way galaxy. They did not expect a fight. They expected the humans to be scared. They expected the humans to say sorry. Meanwhile, on Earth, things were chaotic. The news channels were screaming. In New York, Washington, and every other city, people stopped working. They looked up at the sky. Above the clouds, the silver ships had appeared. They were beautiful, but terrifying. They blocked out the sun. In the middle of the day, it looked like twilight. In a deep underground bunker, 5 men and women sat around a cold metal table. They were the leaders of Earth. They were not screaming. They were not crying. They were angry. General Michael sat at the head of the table. He was an older man with gray hair and a face made of stone. He wore a simple uniform. On his chest, he wore medals from old wars. He looked at the other leaders. There was David, the president. There was Sarah, the head of the space agency. There was Jessica, the main diplomat. And there was Tom, the head of intelligence. "They are blocking the sun," President David said. His voice was quiet. He looked tired. "They say they are doing it for our own good. They call us a virus. They say we have to give up all our guns, all our bombs, and all our ships. If we refuse, they say they will keep the sun blocked forever until our crops die." General Michael stared at the map on the table. The map showed red dots where the alien ships were. There were hundreds of them. They were big ships, much bigger than anything humans had. Michael clenched his fist. "It is an insult," Michael said. "They come to our home. They threaten my family. They threaten your family. They think we are children. They think we will just hand over our teeth because they told us to." "I tried to talk to them," Jessica said. She looked nervous. "I sent a message. I asked for time. I asked for a meeting. They ignored me. They just sent a repeating message, disarm and obey. They do not want to talk. They want to control." "We cannot beat them," Sarah said softly. She was looking at her tablet. "Our weapons are too slow. Their shields are too strong. If we fire a missile, it just bounces off. We analyzed their tech. It is 1,000 years ahead of ours." The room was silent. Everyone looked at Michael. He was the military man. He knew about war. "They are right," Michael said. "Their shields are strong against our energy weapons. Their computers are faster than ours. We cannot fight this war the way they expect us to fight." "Then what do we do?" David asked. "Do we surrender? Do we let them take away our defenses? Maybe they will leave us alone if we do what they say." "No," Michael said. His voice was like a rock cracking. "If we surrender today, they will come back tomorrow for something else. They will take our water. They will take our land. They will turn us into pets. Humans are not pets." He stood up. He walked to the screen where the alien ships were shown. He looked at the red dots. "They made a mistake," Michael said. "They think that because their technology is better, they are better. They think that because we fight with guns and bombs, we are stupid. They have forgotten one thing. They have forgotten what a human does when you corner a wild animal." He looked at Tom. "Are the transport ships ready?" Tom nodded. "Yes, General. We have thousands of cargo ships. The big ones. Usually, we use them to move grain and metal to Mars. They are ugly, slow, and heavy." "Good," Michael said. "Load them." "Don't load them with grain." Sir Tom asked. "Load them with our biggest mining explosives," Michael commanded. "The ones we use to crack asteroids. Also, take the rail guns. The ones we use to launch satellites. Put them on the cargo ships. Aim the rail guns at the alien fleet." "Sir," Sarah said, looking confused. "The rail guns are not weapons. They are for launching cargo. They can't aim that well. The ships are just metal boxes. They have no shields." "They don't need shields," Michael said. His eyes were cold. "They need to be fast and heavy. And they need to be everywhere." He turned back to the group. "The aliens are arrogant. They will expect a direct attack. They will expect us to be scared. We are not going to attack them. We are going to ram them. We are going to fill the space around Earth with so much metal and debris that their perfect computers will freeze. We are going to turn our own ships into bombs." "We can't do that," David said, shocked. "That is suicide." "The crews." "I will ask for volunteers," Michael said. "And we will send the ships empty. We will use remote controls. We have technology they don't understand. We have chaos." The general looked at the president. "David, the council thinks they are helping us. They think they are the good guys. They are wrong. They are just bullies. And bullies never stop until you hit them so hard that they never get up again." David looked at the fear in the room. He looked at the map of the block sun. He stood up next to Michael. "Give the order," David said. Michael nodded. He picked up a red phone on the table. He spoke one sentence. "Initiate protocol total retaliation. Not for survival. For punishment." In the silence of the bunker, the alarm began to ring. It was a low, deep sound that vibrated in their chests. It was not a sound of fear. It was a sound of war. On the surface, all over the world, strange things began to happen. Huge doors in the mountains opened. Massive ships, usually used for hauling supplies, began to rise. They were painted a dull gray. They were not sleek like the alien ships. They looked like big flying bricks. But inside them were tons of high explosive mining charges. The men and women at the controls did not cry. They did not pray. They looked at the silver ships in the sky, and they gritted their teeth. They remembered the coldness of the alien message. Disarm and obey. The aliens, floating high above in their comfortable chairs, watched the human ships launch. They laughed. "Look," Commander Zyler said on the bridge of the lead alien ship. "They are launching their cargo ships. Are they running away? Are they trying to flee the system?" "They are primitive," his second-in-command said. "They are probably trying to hide on the dark side of the moon. Let them go. Their engines are so slow, they will never reach us." But the general on Earth was not running. He was loading the gun. He was about to show the galaxy that while humans might have primitive tools, they did not have a primitive spirit. The aliens had come for a peace treaty, but they were about to find out that they had started a slaughter. The Council was about to learn that they stood helpless against a force they did not understand, human rage. The silver ships of the Galactic Council hung in the dark sky like a cage of stars. They were beautiful, smooth, and silent. Inside the bridge of the largest ship, the Unity, Commander Zyler stood with his hands behind his back. He watched the main screen closely. He saw the gray dots rising from the blue planet below. To him and his crew, these gray dots looked clumsy. They were the human cargo ships, big, heavy, and slow. They were not built for war. They were built for moving dirt and metal. "Look at them," Zyler said, his voice sounding smug. "They are sending their supply ships to attack us. It is pathetic. Their fear has made them stupid." His second-in-command, a tall, thin officer named Lam, checked the sensors. "Commander, these ships have no shields. They have no energy weapons. They are just flying metal boxes. They are moving in a straight line toward us. Their engines are struggling. It is a surrender," Zyler decided. "Or perhaps a plea for attention. They are hoping we will see them and talk. They do not understand that we have already decided their fate. Prepare the tractor beams. Let us pull these clumsy toys in and crush them. It will show the humans that resistance is hopeless." But down on the surface of Earth, in the command bunker, General Michael was not pleading. He was watching the tactical map. His face was grim. The gray dots on his screen represented thousands of tons of steel and high explosive mining charges. "Report," Michael barked. "Railgun batteries are charged, General," a young technician named Kevin said. "The cargo ships are in position. They are acting as the shields. The aliens are targeting the ships, but there are too many of them." "Good," Michael said. "The aliens rely on their computers. Their computers like order. They like clear targets. We are going to give them a mess. Fire the kinetic rods. Do not aim for their engines. Do not aim for their weapons. Aim for their noses. Break them. Target locked, Kevin said. Firing. High in the mountains of Earth, massive magnetic railguns spun up. They did not fire glowing laser beams. They fired solid steel rods the size of telephone poles. These rods had no explosives inside. They were just heavy chunks of metal. But they were moving incredibly fast. They were moving so fast that the air around them caught fire. In space, the situation changed instantly. The silver ships of the Council suddenly found their radar screens flooded with warnings. The human cargo ships were opening their cargo doors. They were not running away. They were turning sideways, exposing their bellies. What are they doing? Lom shouted. The cargo ships are changing course. They are on a collision vector. Destroy them. Xyler ordered, sounding annoyed. Fire point defense lasers. The alien ships activated their automated defense systems. Hundreds of small red lasers shot out from the Silver Fleet. They targeted the incoming human cargo ships. The lasers were precise and powerful. They cut through the hull of the cargo ships easily. Explosions lit up the dark sky as human ships were destroyed. Debris floated in the space between the planet and the fleet. Xyler smiled. See, Xyler said. They are falling from the sky. This is not a war, it is cleanup. The humans have no chance. But then, the first wave of steel rods arrived. They were not electronic. They were not guided by computers. They were just metal. The alien point defense lasers, which were programmed to shoot down missiles and ships, ignored the rods. They looked like space debris to the alien computers. By the time the aliens realized the rods were moving at lethal speed, it was too late. A massive rod, glowing red from the friction of the atmosphere, slammed into the front of the Unity. There was no explosion of fire, just a deafening boom that vibrated through the entire ship. The thick, silver armor of the alien dreadnought crumpled like a piece of paper. The rod pushed through the outer layers, tearing pipes and engines apart. The ship shook violently, throwing Xyler out of his chair. Report. Xyler screamed, pulling himself up from the floor. The lights were flickering. Alarms were blaring everywhere. Hull breach. Lom yelled, panic in his voice for the first time. Deck 4 through 10 are gone. The impact, it was kinetic. No energy signature. Just pure force. They threw a rock at us. It wasn't a rock, Xyler whispered, looking at the screen in horror. It was a bullet. General Michael watched the destruction from the bunker. He didn't cheer. He just pointed at the screen. Keep firing, he said. The cargo ships are taking the hits, but the rods are getting through. They have shields against energy, but their physical armor is thin. They assumed no one would be primitive enough to throw rocks at them. Send the second wave. The humans on the ground were not idle. They had thousands of these kinetic rods stored for mining asteroids. Now, they were using them for mining alien ships. The railguns fired again and again. The sound was like the sky tearing open. In space, the alien fleet was in chaos. The beautiful formation was broken. The silver ships were trying to dodge, but there were too many incoming objects. The human cargo ships, though dying, were doing their job. They were moving unpredictably, forcing the aliens to split their fire. And behind this wall of dying metal, the steel rods kept coming. Another rod hit a smaller alien cruiser. This time, the ship didn't just crumple, it snapped in half. Air and crew members were sucked out into the cold vacuum. The silence of space swallowed their screams. The ship drifted, dead and spinning. "We have to retreat," Lom shouted. "Our shields are useless against kinetic impacts at this velocity. We cannot stop them all." "No," Xyler roared, though his hands were shaking. "We are the Council. We are superior. We cannot be beaten by savages in cargo ships. Activate the main plasma cannons. Melt their launch sites on the ground." But the humans had predicted this. As the alien ships turned their noses toward the planet to fire their big guns, they exposed their engines to the swarm of debris. The human cargo ships that were still alive, piloted by brave men and women via remote control, slammed their throttles to maximum. They were not trying to shoot the aliens. They were trying to crash into them. A massive cargo ship, named the Hercules, flew straight toward an alien battleship. The alien ship fired its lasers, cutting into the cargo hold, but the human ship did not stop. It was too heavy. It had too much momentum. It hit the alien ship like a car hitting a wall. The explosion was blinding. The Hercules was filled with mining explosives, and when it hit, it blew up with the force of a small sun. The alien battleship was destroyed instantly, vaporized into dust and metal fragments. On the bridge of the Unity, Xyler watched the explosion. His face turned pale. He looked at the tactical map. Where there had been a perfect silver line of ships, there were now red gaps. The humans were not fighting a war of honor. They were fighting a war of attrition. They were trading cheap metal for expensive technology. "They are crazy," Xyler whispered. "They are destroying their own ships just to hurt us." Back in the bunker, President David watched the screen with wide eyes. He saw the explosions. "Michael," he said. "It's working. We are breaking their line." Michael nodded grimly. "It is working, David. But it is not enough. We have hurt them, but we have not defeated them. We need to do more. We need to go there. We need to make them afraid to ever look at Earth again." He pressed a button on the intercom. "Sarah, get the boarding teams ready. And wake up David. Tell the fleet to prepare for launch. We are going to push through the wreckage." The swarm of metal and fire continued. The humans had awoken, and they were not showing any mercy. The Council stood helpless, their advanced weapons failing against the simple, brutal rage of humanity. The aliens realized too late that they had poked a sleeping dragon, and now the dragon was biting back with teeth made of steel. The space around Earth was filled with floating debris. It looked like a graveyard of ships. The silver hulls of the alien fleet were torn open, and the gray bodies of the human cargo ships were ripped apart. But the shooting had not stopped. The human ships were not just exploding, they were moving. Through the thick clouds of dust and broken metal, a new fleet appeared. These were not cargo ships. These were the warships of Earth. They were black, sharp, and fast. They moved like sharks through the water, using the debris to hide from the alien sensors. On the bridge of the human flagship, the Avenger, Captain Tom stood firm. He was a younger man than General Michael, but his eyes were just as hard. He watched the main screen where the alien ships were regrouping. The aliens were trying to fix their shields and move away from the planet. They looked scared. They were not used to an enemy that kept coming no matter how many times it was hit. "Sir, the enemy fleet is falling back," the helmsman said. "They are moving toward the edge of the system. They are leaving some of their damaged ships behind." "They are running," Tom said. "But they are not fast enough. Target the damaged ships. Do not let them recover. Keep pushing them." In the cold darkness of space, the human fighters swarmed. They were small ships with one pilot inside. They did not have powerful shields like the aliens, but they had powerful guns. They flew around the giant alien cruisers, shooting at their engines and sensors. The alien pilots were confused. Their computers told them that a ship this small should not be able to hurt them. But the humans were not following the rules. They were flying so close that the alien point defense guns could not aim at them. Commander Zyler sat in his chair on the Unity. His head hurt, and his hands were shaking. The beautiful bridge was dirty now. Smoke filled the room, and sparks flew from broken panels. He had never felt fear like this before. He had studied war in history books, but real war was different. It was loud and messy. "Report," Zyler said to his crew. "Shields are down to 20%, Commander," an officer replied, his voice shaking. "The human fleet is coming through the debris field." They are boarding us." "Boarding?" Zyler asked, confused. "That is impossible. Space combat is fought at long distances. No species has done boarding attacks for thousands of years. It is suicide." "They are not using teleporters, sir," the officer said. "They are physically crashing their small ships into our airlocks. They are blowing holes in the hull and climbing inside." Zyler stood up. "Send the security drones. Stop them." "It is too late for the lower decks, Commander. They are inside. They are very loud." Deep inside the Unity, in a long white corridor, the fighting had begun. The lights flickered as the power fluctuated. A team of human Marines moved through the hallway. They wore heavy black armor that looked rough and scratched. They carried guns that fired metal bullets, not laser beams. At the front of the team was Sergeant David. He was a big man, holding a large shotgun. "Move! Move!" David shouted. "Do not stop for anything. Keep the pressure on them." The team kicked open a door at the end of the hall. Inside, a group of alien soldiers was waiting. The aliens were tall and slim. They held sleek, silver weapons that hummed with energy. They looked surprised to see the humans. The aliens raised their weapons to fire. "Fire!" David yelled. The sound of the human guns was deafening in the metal hallway. Bang! 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 The shotgun blasted holes in the alien armor. The bullets were simple, hot metal. They tore through the smooth silver suits. The aliens tried to shoot back with their energy beams, but the humans did not stand still. They spread out. They used the door frames for cover. They threw metal grenades that exploded with a blinding flash. In seconds, the alien squad was dead. The humans did not check to see if they were okay. They did not take prisoners. They just walked over the bodies and kept moving. "Clear!" David yelled. "Next room." The aliens were terrified. They had fought battles before, but always with ships and computers. They had never seen an enemy face to face. They had never looked into the eyes of a creature that wanted to tear them apart with its bare hands. The humans fought with a rage that the aliens could not understand. Back on Earth, in the command bunker, General Michael was watching the video feed from the Marines' helmet cameras. He saw the violence. He saw the fear in the aliens' eyes. "Sir," Sarah said, looking at her screen. "The aliens are trying to surrender. I am receiving a signal from the Unity. It is a code for mercy. They want to stop the fighting." Michael did not look away from the screen. "What do they say?" "They say they withdraw," Sarah said. They say they will leave the system if we stop the attack. Michael's face was like stone. No. No, President David asked, walking up to him. Michael, they are leaving. We won. We scared them. Let them go. We haven't won yet, David, Michael said. If we let them go now, they will just come back with more ships. They will tell the rest of the council that we are weak. They will try to starve us from a distance. We cannot let them leave. We have to break their will completely. But we can't just kill them all, David said. That is genocide. We are not monsters. We are not monsters, Michael said, turning to look the president in the eye. We are humans. And right now, our survival is at stake. I am not asking to kill their civilians on their home world. I am asking to destroy their fleet so they can never threaten us again. Tell the boarding teams to ignore surrender signals. Tell them to capture the bridge or destroy the ship. No mercy in the middle of the battle. President David hesitated. He looked at the map where the red dots of human ships were tearing into the silver dots of the alien fleet. He remembered the feeling of the sun being blocked. He remembered the threat to his family. Do it, David said quietly. For the future. In space, the order was sent. The boarding teams changed their tactics. They stopped just stunning the aliens. They became ruthless. They targeted the engines of the alien ships to stop them from running. They targeted the communication arrays so the ships could not call for help. On the Unity, Commander Zyler received the news. His officer was crying. Commander, the humans, they are not accepting surrender. They are blowing up our escape pods. They are killing everyone on the decks they capture. Zyler fell back into his chair. He felt cold. Why are they doing this? We only wanted to disarm them. We wanted peace. They do not want peace, the officer said. They want us to suffer. They want us to remember. The door to the bridge exploded inward. A team of human Marines rushed in, led by Sergeant David. The smoke cleared. Zyler looked at them. They looked like savages to him. Their armor was covered in black scorch marks and alien blue blood. They held their weapons ready. Don't shoot! Zyler shouted, raising his hands. I am the commander. I surrender. David walked up to Zyler. He looked down at the tall, slender alien. David did not lower his gun. He spoke into his radio. General, this is Sergeant David. We have the bridge. The commander is alive. Does he surrender? Michael's voice came over the radio. Yes, sir. He is begging for his life. Good, Michael said. Tie him up. Put him in a cell. Then destroy the ship's engines. We are taking this fleet apart, piece by piece. David looked at Zyler. You heard the man. On your knees. The rest of the alien crew on the bridge looked at their commander with despair. They realized that the galaxy was not what they thought it was. The rules had changed. There was a new power in the universe, and it did not care about the Council's laws. It cared only about victory. The humans were here, and they were not leaving until every alien ship was a burning wreck. The Council was helpless, watching their advanced fleet being torn apart by the primitive humans they had underestimated. The breakout was a success, and the path to the alien homeworlds was open. The great silver gates of the Galactic Council homeworld stood open. Usually, these gates welcomed ships from 1,000 different stars. Trade ships, diplomatic ships, and pleasure cruisers moved through them every day. But today, the space lanes were silent. The only things moving were the burnt and broken remains of the Council fleet, retreating in panic. And behind them, chasing them like wolves, were the black ships of Earth. The chase had been long and brutal. The humans had not stopped at the edge of their own solar system. They had followed the aliens through hyperspace, tracking the signals of the damaged ships. The Council was terrified. They had never had an enemy follow them home before. They had thought their distance was their shield. On the lush, green planet of Core Prime, the capital city was a masterpiece of glass and light. It floated on magnetic fields above a crystal-clear ocean. But in the Great Council chamber, there was no peace. The council members were arguing, shouting over each other. The sound of panic filled the room. High Counselor Vex sat in his chair, his head in his hands. He looked old and tired. "Stop!" Vex shouted, using his amplified voice to silence the room. "Stop shouting. We must think. They are destroying the defense grid." A member yelled. "Our automated drones cannot stop them. They are hacking our systems." "How?" Vex asked. "Our computers are the most advanced in the galaxy. They are using chaotic algorithms," a tech officer explained, his voice trembling. "Our computers rely on logic and prediction. The human code, it is messy. It is full of random junk data and viruses. When our computers try to predict what the humans will do, they crash. The humans are confusing our machines to death." Vex stood up and walked to the huge window. He looked up at the sky. Black smoke was rising from the orbital stations. The human fleet was there. It was a grim sight to behold. The human ships were not elegant. They were blocks of rough metal, covered in welding marks and patched up armor. They looked like they should fall apart, but they moved with deadly purpose. "Contact them," Vex said. "Open a channel. I will speak to their leader. I will offer them anything. I will offer them resources. I will offer them a seat on the council. Just make them stop." Outside the planet, the flagship the Avenger moved into a high orbit. It did not land. It did not send a shuttle. It simply blocked all traffic going in and out of the planet. From the ship, a transmission was sent to the surface. In the council chamber, the main holographic screen flickered to life. Instead of a formal alien diplomat, the face of a human woman appeared. It was Jessica. She was standing on the bridge of a human warship. Behind her, other crew members were working at stations with intense focus. Jessica did not look afraid. She looked angry. "I am High Counselor Vex," the alien began, his voice shaking slightly. "You have entered the sovereign space of the Council. You have attacked our fleets. Why do you do this? We only wished to help you. We wished to civilize you." Jessica stared at him. "Help us! You blocked our sun. You threatened to starve our children if we did not give up our freedom. That is not help. That is slavery. We are a peaceful race." Vex pleaded. "We did not want to kill. We wanted to guide you. Surely, there is a way to end this without more bloodshed. We are willing to negotiate. What is it you want?" Jessica leaned closer to the camera. "We want you to understand." "Understand what?" Vex asked. "We want you to understand that you cannot touch us," Jessica said. Her voice was cold and clear. "You thought you were the masters of the galaxy. You thought you could decide who lives and who dies. Today, you learn that you are weak. Your technology is fancy, but your spirit is soft. You have forgotten how to fight for your lives. We are not weak." Vex shouted, his pride stung. We have thousands of ships. We can destroy you if we unite. Jessica shook her head slowly. You had thousands of ships. We destroyed them. And you won't unite. I can see your cities from here. I can see the fear. We have positioned our kinetic rods above your major cities. We are not here to negotiate. We are here to dictate terms. A collective gasp went through the council chamber. The aliens looked at each other in horror. The humans were threatening to rain destruction from the sky, just like the aliens had tried to do to Earth. If you fire, Vex whispered, millions will die. Is that what you want? Are you monsters? We are what you made us, Jessica replied. You came to our house with a gun. Now we are standing on your porch with a torch. Here are the terms. She paused to make sure they were listening. First, Jessica said. The council will never again interfere with human space. No ships, no probes, no spies. If a human ship sees a council ship in the Sol system, we will assume it is an act of war. Second, she continued. You will sign the Terra Non Grata Treaty. This means Earth is a sovereign world. We are not members of your council. We do not follow your laws. We answer to no one but ourselves. And third, Jessica finished. You will apologize. You will admit that you were wrong to try and disarm us. Vex looked around the room. The other council members were hiding their faces. They were trembling. They had always ruled through diplomacy and threats. They had never faced an enemy that didn't care about diplomacy. The humans held all the cards. If Vex refused, the black ships in the sky would turn the beautiful cities of Core Prime into craters. The council was helpless. Their advanced shields could not stop the humans because the humans had already hacked their defense networks. Their grand fleets were burning. They had no choice. We agree, Vex said softly, his head hanging low. We will sign your treaty. We will apologize. Please, just do not destroy us. Send the document, Jessica said. A moment later, the text appeared on Vex's screen. He read it. It was harsh. It was humiliating. But he picked up his stylus and signed his name. One by one, the other members signed. With every signature, the power of the council faded away. They were no longer the masters of the galaxy. They were now just another group of species, afraid of the dark. Jessica looked at the signed document. Good. Keep your copy. Remember this day. She cut the transmission. The screen went black. On the bridge of the Avenger, Captain Tom walked over to Jessica. Did you see his face? Tom asked. They looked like children who just got scolded. They thought they could control us, Jessica said, rubbing her temples. They learned today that humanity is not a pet to be kept on a leash. We are a wild animal, and you do not poke a wild animal. The fleet is holding position, Tom said. We are raining debris on their upper atmosphere to block their communications for a few hours. Just to remind them we are here. Good, Jessica said. Get Michael on the line. Tell him Part 4 is complete. We have them on their knees. The sky above the alien capital was dark with the hulls of human battleships. The aliens below stayed in their homes, too scared to go out. They looked up at the sky with new eyes. They used to see the stars and dream of exploration. Now, they looked up and wondered if the monsters were coming back for them. The council stood helpless, their authority shattered, replaced by the overwhelming and terrifying reality of human retaliation. The silence that fell over the Galactic Council home world was heavy and deep. For thousands of years, This planet had been the center of noise, communication, and trade. Now, the only sound came from the low hum of the human battleships floating in the sky. The aliens stayed in their homes. They looked out their windows with fear, watching the black, rough shapes of the Earth ships blocking out the stars. The party was over. The age of the Council telling others what to do had ended in a single, violent week. On the surface of Core Prime, in the grand plaza that usually hosted celebrations of peace, a small shuttle landed. It was a human shuttle, gray and unadorned. The ramp lowered, and 3 humans walked out. They wore simple military uniforms. They did not carry weapons in their hands, but their posture was tense and ready. In the middle was Jessica. To her left was General Michael, and to her right was Tom. High Counselor Vex was waiting for them. He stood on the steps of the Great Council building. He looked smaller than he used to. His silver skin seemed dull, and his eyes were downcast. Behind him stood the remaining members of the council. They looked like frightened children waiting to be punished by an angry parent. Jessica stopped a few feet away from Vex. She did not bow. She did not smile. "The fleet is moving back," Jessica said. It was a statement, not a question. "Yes," Vex replied quietly. "They are leaving the orbit. Our defenses are offline. We are at your mercy." Michael stepped forward. He looked at the massive doors of the council building. "We are not here to take your planet, Vex," Michael said. "We don't want your cities. We don't want your resources. We are not conquerors in the way you understand. We are only here to make sure you never threaten us again." Vex nodded slowly. "We have signed the treaty. We will respect the Sol system. We will respect humanity." "You will do more than respect us," Michael said, his voice hard. "You will fear us. Every time you look at a star map, you will see the blue dot of Earth and you will remember. You will remember that we do not need fancy shields or plasma beams to destroy you. We only need a reason." He handed a physical piece of paper to Vex. It was an official copy of the treaty. "This is the Terra non grata clause," Michael explained. "It means Earth is off limits. Not just for you, but for anyone you trade with. If any ship enters our space without permission, we will not ask who sent it. We will destroy it. And then, we will come to the home world of whoever sent it, and we will do this all over again." Vex took the paper with a trembling hand. "We understand. We will enforce this. We will make sure the galaxy knows." "Good," Jessica said. "Because this was just a warning. Next time, we will not stop at the orbit." The humans turned around and walked back to their shuttle without another word. There were no handshakes. No hugs. No celebration of a new alliance. It was purely business. The shuttle lifted off, rising quickly into the sky to join the waiting fleet. Inside the shuttle, Tom looked out the window as the alien capital shrunk below them. "It feels strange," Tom said. "We won. We actually beat them. I used to look up at the stars and wonder if there were aliens out there better than us. Smarter than us. Now I know they are just soft." Jessica looked at the tablet in her hand. "They aren't soft, Tom. They are just sheltered. They forgot that the universe is a dangerous place." We reminded them. "And now?" Tom asked. "What do we do now?" "Now," Michael said, leaning back in his seat and closing his eyes for the first time in days, "we go home. We have families waiting. We have a planet to fix." In space, the order was given. The massive fleet of human ships turned as one. Their engines flared blue and white, pushing them away from the alien world. They left behind the debris of the destroyed Council defense platforms. They left behind a broken government. The journey back to Earth took several days. When the human ships finally arrived in the Sol system, the mood changed. The fear was gone, replaced by a sense of incredible pride. On Earth, people watched the news with tears in their eyes. They had been scared, but their military had saved them. Not by begging, but by fighting. The fleet parked in orbit around Earth and the Moon. They did not attack, they stood guard. General Michael stood on the bridge of the Avenger, looking down at the blue and white marble of his home. "Sir," a young officer said. "The sensors are picking up a signal. It is faint. It is coming from deep space." Michael frowned. "Is it the Council? Are they following us?" "No, sir," the officer said, listening to the headphones. "It is static. But it is not random. It is repeating." "What does it say?" The officer listened for a moment, then looked up with a shocked expression. "It is coming from the Galactic Center, sir. From a different species. Not the Council. The message says, 'We saw. We approve. Be quiet, and we will trade.'" Michael allowed a small, rare smile to touch his lips. "It seems the galaxy has many voices. The Council was just the loudest one. Now they know to be quiet." Months passed. The Earth did not become an empire. They did not go out and conquer other worlds. Instead, they focused on themselves. They rebuilt their cities and advanced their technology. But they never disarmed. The guns remained loaded. The railguns remained powered. The Council returned to its normal routine, but everything had changed. High Counselor Vex was no longer arrogant. When he spoke in the chambers, the other members listened with fear. They knew that somewhere, far away, the humans were watching. One day, a young member of the Council, a scholar named Kale, approached Vex. Kale was holding a data pad. "Counselor," Kale asked hesitantly. "I am studying the archives of the war. The humans, their strategy. It was messy. It was brutal. Why did it work? Our computers predicted a 99% chance of our victory." Vex looked out the window toward the stars, in the direction of the Sol system. "Because our computers calculate logic," Vex said softly. "They calculate shields, firepower, and distance. But the humans, they introduced a variable that our computers could not understand." "What variable?" Kale asked. "Desperation," Vex replied. "And rage. You see, Kale, a civilized being fights for what he wants. A human fights for what he loves. And when you back a creature that loves that deeply into a corner, they do not fight smart. They fight to destroy." Vex turned back to the young scholar. "Never forget that lesson. We are the Council of the Galaxy. But we are not the masters. Not anymore." On Earth, life went on. Children went to school. Farmers grew crops. Scientists built new ships. But now, when they looked up at the night sky, they didn't just see lights. They saw their territory. They knew they were safe because they had shown the universe that they were the most dangerous thing in it. The Council stood helpless, forced to watch the humans rise. They had no choice. The treaty was signed, and the silence of the stars was not empty anymore. It was heavy with the warning of humanity. The humans had retaliated without mercy, and in doing so, they had earned their place in the galaxy. Not through peace, but through fire.